Hi, Ray. Thank you for willing to do an interview. Let's get started.
Hi, Fisher.
Hi. When were you born and where?
I was born in October 1972 in Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
What was your childhood like?
In the U.S.?
Both.
Both, okay. Haiti is considered a developing country, and at the time that I was there, it was, it was ruled by a dictator at the time, so life was very difficult. Wealth was not, there was a huge disparity or gap in wealth, so there was, a lot of people who were poor and very few people at the top who were rich.
So there wasn't really anybody in the middle?
No, right. It lacked
Yeah.
a middle class, exactly. So, it was a difficult place to be. But luckily, my father immigrated to the U.S. in 1975 and subsequently sent for me in 1982. And so I came to the U.S., and it was very shocking and interesting. But I was 10 at the time, so, I adapted really quickly, assimilated into life in the U.S., and it was like this heaven. My childhood in the U.S. was a very positive experience compared to growing up in Haiti.
What is your experience being black in a mostly white area?
Funny thing that you asked that, because I think to some extent I've always had that experience growing up, because when I first came to the U.S., I I did go to a school at the time because my parents lived in this area of Miami, which is now considered Little Haiti. But at the time when we moved there, it was predominantly African American, and I was there for a year and a half. And then we moved out of that area to farther north, an area called Miami Shores, and it was predominantly, I would say white populated. So
Yeah.
from then on, my experience and my milieu, my surroundings have always been, being around predominantly,
Yeah.
you know, um, predominantly white people. So I learned to adapt. So Bend isn't so unusual for me. Although being new here, obviously, I don't know anyone else other than my friends and your family. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't feel any, um, I don't have any reason to feel like an outsider.
How has this affected your identity today?
Um, I think that I think my experience, or being around diverse groups of people, well, in particularly being in environments where I'm sort of a minority, has really helped me with being able to adapt to situations, being able to adapt to people that are of a different background than I am, being able to assimilate into situations a lot easier, a lot quicker than I otherwise would. Um, and it's helped me to the exposure to people mostly who are from backgrounds other than from which I hail, has really helped me to be open and receptive and to be more engaging as well. So I would say that's how it's affected my identity.
So you think that's been helpful?
Yes.
Okay.
Very helpful.
Thank you, Ray, for willing to do an interview. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Fisher.